The first test that we're going to talk about is the specific gravity of coarse aggregates. For this test, we will need a damp towel, a dry pan, shown right here, a basket with number 8 mesh, and then our prepared sample. And this prepared sample is material retained on the number 4 screen that has been washed and then dried at 230 degrees. And then we take that material, we put it in a pan, and we cover it completely with water overnight. And that material we'll use to determine the specific gravity course.
The first thing we want to do is take our basket and our pan, and I'm going to come to our water bath and attach our basket, remove any air bubbles, and tear our scale. So this scale is connected on the bottom with a rope so we can measure the weight of our aggregates underwater. We also have a temperature regulator right here. So our water is also at 25 degrees Celsius right now. But we currently have that off or else it'll disturb the weight. So again, we'll tear our scale. And the next thing we want to do is take the weight of our dry pan. So once we get our weight of our dry pan, we can come back over here. And what we do is we're going to drain the water from the material, and then we want to get our aggregates to the saturated surface dry condition. So I'll show you what that looks like. So try not to drop any of the aggregates. So now we're going to take these to our damp cloth and transfer them to the cloth. And what we want to do is we want to dry this material out so that we can no longer see the flashiness or the shininess of the water on top of the aggregate particles. But we don't want to dry them too much to where you can start seeing dry aggregates. So usually I roll these around, dry them out with the cloth. Roll them around a little bit. And then look at my aggregates. So right now most of them now look really dull, and that pretty much means that all of the water on the surface of the aggregate has been dried off, and that our sample is at our saturated surface dry condition, which essentially all the pores in the aggregate are filled with water, but there's not excess water on the surface of the aggregate. So I'm going to collect this sample, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it right into my pan, and I'm not going to tear it because I want to know what the mass of the aggregates and the pan is. So now we'll take down the weight of the aggregates and the pan. So before we dry this, we need to get the weight of it underwater. Basket out. Now I'm going to transfer my sample into the cage. We're going to put it into the water bath. I'm going to give it a little shake to knock off the air bubbles. And then I'm going to attach it. Now we're going to wait for our scale to stabilize so we can determine our mass of the sample underwater. And essentially what's going on here is the mass of the sample underwater is displacing a certain amount of water, and that's creating a certain force up on the sample. And so the difference between the dry weight and the weight underwater is that displaced volume of water. So once our scale is stabilized, we'll take the reading again, and from here we'll take our sample out of water and transfer it back into our pan. Make sure we get all of the aggregate particles out of there. So now we're going to take this sample and we're going to dry it. Alright, and then once our sample is dry, we're going to take it out of the oven, we'll let it cool, and then we're going to determine the weight of the pan plus the dry material. So at that point we'll have the weight of the pan plus the SSD, we'll have the underwater weight, and we'll have the weight of the pan plus the dry material. And those four weights are the weights you'll need to determine the specific gravity.